Hey everyone, we're walking down to the river right now to do our minnow check. I have not done a good job of this the last 3 days. In fact, I have not checked the water since Monday, which was, we had like 70-degree temps the last 3 days. We've had nothing but, in the 30s, rain, slush, snow. So I'm fully expecting these minnows to be dead. I don't know what I'll tell Hank, because I don't think he'll be real happy if I tell him our bait's dead, but I'm expecting them to be dead. The only hope I've got is that the air temp's been so cold and the water is so cold that they're not using much oxygen. We've only got like a dozen anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. But we're gonna find out right here. So let's take a look. We have got live minnows, 2 suckers and about a dozen crappie minnows. That's a success. I'm pretty happy about that. So I guess that means I gotta fish a few more days with some more crummy weather coming, but we've probably only got about a week before it totally freezes up here. I gotta say it's been a fun year fishing. The one thing with COVID that has been a blessing in disguise for my family is that we've come down here and used this river more than I've ever used, at least from shore. We've lived here for about 10 years and really not ever shore fished. I've fished for bass off the bank, but I can't say I've ever thrown a crawler out or a minnow or anything. And I've done that with my boys this year, and it's really been a very good success. We've had some amazing days fishing for everything: carp, catfish, sturgeon, smallmouth, walleye, red horse, bluegill, crappie. I mean, it seems like everything is run up and down the river. So I'm gonna miss that for the next couple of months because it really made it easy to watch the kids. So I recently received a question from an individual that wanted to know why I was giving away some of the secrets that I've used over the years to catch a lot of fish. And it's really because I feel like sharing some information that might help other people catch a few fish. At this point in my career, I'm confident enough in my own skills that I'll be able to catch fish regardless of where I go and what I'm doing and whether I've got secrets or not. I really think a top level fisherman has 2 things that separates them from the everyday fisherman. The first is confidence. I think everyone at the professional level is willing to bet on themselves that they will compete in each and every event. And I know that doesn't always happen, but I roll into every tournament thinking I'm going to leave there with more money than I have. And I'm willing to bet every one of those guys there has that same feeling. And I think that confidence a lot of times comes across as arrogance, but at the same time, that's one of the main keys that makes one angler better than somebody else. They know it could be 1 o'clock in the afternoon. They got to be back at 3 o'clock at the ramp and they have 0 fish in the live well. And they still fully believe in themselves that they will catch the fish to potentially win the event. And I think there are a lot of anglers out there that if they were put in that situation, they're thinking about going to the dock early, pulling out what they're going to do that afternoon. And there's nothing wrong with that mindset. I just think that if you want to be a top level fisherman, you have to have that killer instinct that you see in other professional sports. Michael Jordan went out going, I'm going to beat this guy every time. You can't defend me. And we don't have that same hand-to-hand combat like that, but we still have to have the same mentality that we're good enough to still salvage the day and be able to compete at that level. So, having said that, I don't feel like I've got any secrets that separates me from my competition. I think the key to any of the secrets I give away is knowing when to apply them in a certain situation that will get you one or two more bites. But it's really, the two keys to being a top level fisherman are confidence and experience. For me, the hardest thing, when I started my first 3 years on tour, I was right in the middle of the pack. I think I finished in the 70s or 80s out of 160 guys. I cashed a few checks, but most of my tournaments I didn't cash were bombs. So, it put me right in the middle of the pack. And the biggest challenge that I had was I'm really good with northern lakes in the Wisconsin area in this general region, but I had never seen Florida. I had never seen the Ozarks. I had never seen highland reservoirs. I literally had very, very little experience on any of those other types of lakes. So when I found a lake that I was able to kind of compare to my knowledge base back home, I usually did pretty well. But the problem is there just aren't many lakes outside of the upper Midwest that fish similar. And so for me, it took about 3 years of traveling around the country and seeing each type of lake and, just kind of realizing what works there. There were a lot of bad tournaments I had, but I walked away feeling really good because I knew I had learned enough where if I went back, I'd be able to compete. And that's a huge thing. You have to learn from all of your tournaments, whether they were good tournaments or bad tournaments. But in my opinion, the guys that are truly the best professionals have great experience, and they're able to relate that experience to new lakes as well. And that just puts them, they're able to dissect a lake extremely quickly, and that puts them at a higher level versus the normal competition that takes more time to break a lake down. So even though you may have never been to Table Rock Lake, if you fish Beaver Lake or Bull Shoals, you can relate that right over. And the best fishermen out there are able to relate their experiences to new bodies of water, or even bodies of water they have a lot of experience on. And then at the same time, they have the confidence that they believe in themselves, that they have the confidence to believe in themselves that they will compete no matter where they are. So, when it comes to the tips that I'm giving, I truly believe that they are all very good tips and that they will help each and every one of you catch fish and have certain situations where they really shine. But I don't feel like I'm giving away information that, is really gonna all of a sudden make me not as good of a fisherman. If it helps you guys become a better fisherman, that makes this all worthwhile. I'm at a point where I have enough confidence in myself, and I've seen enough situations where I could be fishing down a bank behind a guy that's doing the exact same thing I am, and I'm catching fish. And that doesn't mean they're not catching fish, but I'm catching fish behind them. So, I'm just confident enough to share this information with each and every one of you to hopefully make you guys a better fisherman. And really, more than anything, one of my favorite things to do is just tinker with tackle. And I think that's one thing that helps make you a better fisherman. So if it gets some of you into tinkering with tackle and making skirts or tying jigs, I think that's a bonus. I think those are things that will improve each and every one of you as an angler overall. And not to mention, when you get crummy winter weather coming in, if you live up north somewhere, it gives you something to do, and it saves you a few bucks at the same time. So I hope you all appreciate the tips that I'm giving, and do know that they are things that I have kept secret for a while and I have used to really catch a lot of fish. But they're not, it's not like I'm giving away information that is the key to catching every bass in the lake. You have to figure that out on your own, and hopefully these little tips will get you thinking outside the box and make you a better angler.